Welcome to the land of the Beatles kingdom and tomorrow never knows. I'm Bob Wilson, your co-host with my pal, Sir Warren Brown. Our guest today is Phil Weathers, who's going to play quiz show, which we love to do so much. And we're going to also we're going to tell you gossip, embarrassing stories, and anecdotes from behind the scenes of the Tomorrow Never Knows show. And occasionally we're going to even drop names. On who did what and who said what. And then on occasion we can't drop names because it would be too functionally embarrassing and detrimental to the show. But we'll pick and choose as we go along, and we hope that you find it Beatle gossip entertaining. Welcome, fellas.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you
Hey,
for having
Phil.
me.
Welcome, Phil. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Waiting for the new year.
Yes, sir. So am I, and I appreciate you coming on again. You're becoming a regular on our show, and you do an awesome job. You got some awesome books, and we're going to get them out there for the fans.
Well, I appreciate you guys inviting me and having me on again. I enjoy it.
That's great. Go ahead,
We love
Bulldog.
having you. So do you have questions for us tonight? You're going to be Alex Trebek?
I do have a few questions. I guess I will be Alex. I have some Beatle questions and I have some solo Beatle questions as well.
Okay, Phil, do me a favor. You can ask me the really easy ones, and we'll give Bulldog the hard ones.
I hear
So
you.
it's business as usual then.
Yeah, there you go.
You can use your lifeline, Warren.
I got my wife behind me, so but
She's
she
better than
can't.
any of us.
Yeah, she can't hear, so she can't be my lifeline.
Oh, okay.
But I will be covering my mic and asking.
Well,
Okay.
some of these will probably be, pretty easy, average. Some might be more difficult, but I'm
Okay.
sure you guys know it all. You know this Beatles stuff. So,
Don't jinx us.
Yeah, you already jinxed us, so oh boy.
all right, you ready for number one?
Sure.
I'm ready.
Okay, this is a Paul McCartney question.
Uh-oh.
All right, what instrument, when Paul was 14 years of age, what instrument did Paul's father give him?
Oh, you're going to start us off hard here.
I'm
How
gonna
about
guess it's gonna be some kind of an instrument like a trumpet. I think his dad played some kind of a wind instrument. Warren, what do you think?
I was thinking piano, but I'll go with your answer,
Well, I
Bob.
don't know which one, so I'm gonna let you hash it out between those things. You can pick.
I'll go with Bob's answer.
O-
Some kind of trumpet.
Okay, so you're going to go with trumpet.
Yes, sir. Fi-
Well,
Final answer.
final answer. Well, you both are correct. It was a trumpet.
Wow. All
Ooh,
right.
Ding, 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 ding. So one for one there.
that
Yeah.
was actually a tough one, you know.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it was.
the answer. All right. Another Paul question. A little later in his life, um, when Paul left the Beatles and when he got married to Linda Eastman, um, when did he become? We know now that he's a vegetarian and has been for several years. What year did Paul become a vegetarian?
I
Okay,
I say 74, 75, Bob. What you
but we
say?
gotta pick one of those. I think you're right because they were on the farm and they started thinking about their lambs and all that sheep and that they
Mm,
couldn't eat them.
right.
So I'm gonna go. You can pick 74 or 75. I would guess 74, but I'll let you pick the final answer.
Um, I'm going to go 1 year later than that. I think it was a little later. I'll say 75. Final answer there, Alex.
Final answer is 1975.
All
You are
right.
correct. Good job. Two guys. And it did, Bob, like you mentioned, it did have
It's some great questions, and we're
living on the farm.
okay. I'm losing you guys.
Can you
uh,
hear me?
I can hear you both now, but I lost
okay.
you there for a minute.
All right. So
All
we're
right,
good.
good questions, Phil.
Well, thank you. Um, yeah, it did have to do with Paul and Linda living on the farm and the lambs, and I think that's one of the reasons they became a vegetarian, both
Exactly.
of them.
Yep.
All
Good
right,
questions.
ready for another one?
Yes,
Ready as
sir.
we'll ever be.
I'll take the Beatles for 1,000, Alex.
Okay, this one again is kind of a Paul McCartney related question. His wife, which Beatle was Linda Eastman, who eventually married Paul? Which Beatle was Linda Eastman originally attracted to? Which one of the other three
Hmm.
was she
I,
originally attracted to?
this is going to be a guess for me, Bob. I'm going to say Ringo.
I would go with John.
Okay. Final answer, John.
Final answer, John. That is correct.
All right.
3 for 3. My goodness. And you're talking about these being difficult.
Well, once
hey,
it's true, you know.
hey, they've been good questions. They're not easy either.
All right. We also we promised backstories and gossip in addition to questions. I want
Yeah.
to start out as we end the new year and mention a couple of other people. Terry Crane was on. He had that wonderful book about NEMS and all the merchandise and stuff like that. And I'd
Right.
love to have like a gossipy story about him, but he was a perfect gentleman. He was well spoken, prepared. He gave us no nonsense. Actually, we probably annoyed him. So I got no stories about Terry Crane. He was actually pretty cool, a perfect gentleman.
Right.
And also Anna Frawley. I'd like to have something to say, but Anna was like a perfect guest, no problems. She was gracious. She's humble. She pulls back on how she could brag about different things she did in her career. So I got nothing for you on those two, but I'm warming up.
Yeah, I didn't know that Anna was an actress either, so that was interesting.
And she
Right.
worked with very famous people, so she holds that back. You have to pull it out of her like you're pulling teeth.
Yes, two very good guests there. They were top notch.
So Terry Crane, I got nothing to say about. And Anna Frawley was a doll.
Sounds like I know you guys have had some wonderful people on. That's really good.
Wait till we talk about you, Phil.
Oh yeah.
We didn't get to you yet.
Well,
All right, all
I'm
right.
good.
How about Phil Weathers there, Bob?
Yeah.
Phil is a scoundrel of the highest regard. Next question, Phil. Next question. I
Okay,
care.
number 4. Now I know you guys are going to know this one. This one's pretty easy. Another Paul McCartney type question. What type of we know Paul played when he played with the Beatles. What type of bass guitar did he usually play with the Beatles? What brand? What brand of bass?
Rhymes with Boffner.
Um,
Is that right, Warren?
Rhymes with Boffner.
uh, it rhymes.
Hoffner.
It rhymes with it. It's not. It's not part of the word.
It rhymes with Boffner.
It's kind of that unique looking bass guitar.
The Hoffner.
There you
Hoffner.
go, the Hofner.
Yay.
Uh, made famous by Sir Paul McCartney.
Hoffner is done well by Paul McCartney. Nobody would remember that thing if he wasn't running around with it.
Exactly.
Thank you for the hints, Bulldog, but I didn't need it.
I offer them anyway for the sake of showbiz magic to make it look like we're sweating these questions out. Another guest we had on was Jude Kessler. Do you remember her, Sir Warren?
Yeah, yes, I do. She's a sweetheart too.
Jude has, listen to this guy backtracking already. She has a wonderful reputation of being a kind and wonderful person, which she earned. But you know what I have against Jude?
Mm-mm.
When she came on the show, it's hard sometimes with Skype, finding people on Skype. So the first time we're supposed to be on Skype, I looked her up under Jude Kessler. So we were waiting for her to come on and we couldn't get the show going. But Jude is like, she writes like 4,000 page books. To hold the book up, it's actually a cardio exercise, and it builds your abs. Her books are like so heavy. They use like more paper than the Amazon. So she like no one's coming on. I'm like, she's so punctual and
Mhm.
she has to get off in a certain amount of time, which we don't. We could just kill the night. I'm watching Elvis movies till 4 in the morning. I can stay awake. Well, I can do whatever the heck I want. So can Warren. Basically, most of the time, he'll get on. He'll complain beforehand, but he'll stay on. So we wait on the Jude Kessler, who she's coming. She's coming. Finally, make a call. She doesn't know what's going on. Is the account being blocked or something? So then she's on under Jude Kessler and her handsome, wonderful husband Randy Kessler. So we straighten that out. We get the show down. Then the next time she's about to come on, I'm like, okay, this time I'm waiting for her. So we look for her on Jude Kessler and Randy Kessler. Oh, we're waiting and waiting. And you have to keep in mind, she's got like a strict time frame. Her books are like 4,000 pages each. So she like sleeps and writes. She like
Gee.
has cookies and milk and writes. She's got to get off the show so she can go and write or watch like a half an hour program with her family. I don't know if they watch Mary Tyler Moore reruns or something. So this time we're waiting on Jude Kessler and Randy Kessler, the Skype page, and then she tricks me and she puts us on the other one. So we finally catch up, and then we have a time frame. So then, like, she knows so much about John Lennon. She knows like his social security number, where he was born, what size shoes he has. So if you just ask her how's John, she can give you like a 45-minute answer. So it just kind of we came on, we had like a time frame, and she's like, "We've got to get going, gentlemen. I have to give some family quality time." So we're like, okay, Jude, she's a really nice person and she's generous with giving you books. But boy, is she hard to handle when it comes to actually getting on the show. But we love you, Jude. And look for her John Lennon series of books. They're wonderful. Next question, Phil.
Jude promised you a present for Christmas. Did she ever get you one, Bulldog?
Not as of yet, but now that you reminded me, I'm on it with
Uh,
lawyers like bloodhounds.
and
Bloodhounds and pinchers.
what was that present supposed to be? Do you remember?
I don't know. Did she offer to get me a muzzle?
No, remember you were complaining about how big and heavy her books were, and you couldn't hold them long enough to read them.
They're so heavy. They're like it's like a workout. It's like Jack LaLanne reading books.
Hey, look, they're worth reading, though.
They're wonderful books, and we highly
Yes,
endorse
they
them.
are. But she was going to get you a book holder, one
Yeah, well,
that
that
you.
was a radio promise. That's something you put on your own. It hasn't come. The postman hasn't lugged that up the way yet.
Yes, I understand that. I
So we're
just
waiting
want
on the
to
book
bring.
holder. But her books are wonderful. We love those books. She's like
Yes,
the
they are.
anti-Brooke. Brooks books are like ebooks. He sends you an ebook. I don't need a holder for that.
I know you don't.
And then
You
Jude
need
makes up for
you
it. She
need a pair
sends
of
you like
glasses.
4,000 pounds of paper.
Isn't it great though that people are still interested in the Beatles and people are still writing books about the Beatles, and
Yes,
it's
it is.
it's really great.
Yes, it is. After so long, you don't hear anybody talking about another band like they do the Beatles. That's for sure.
No, you really don't.
And I just picked up her book off my bookcase. It Should Have Known Better, Volume 4 of the John Lennon series, Jude Sutherland Kessler, forward by Bill Harry, illustrations by Susan Derbacher. And the book with notes, let's look. So we're giving her a plug. If I annoyed and insulted her, which is not my intention, we're plugging the book, so relax. It's 984 pages.
Wow.
Good
Yeah.
Lord. But they're wonderful books. They're page turners. You
Eh,
can't put them down and you can't pick them up.
She has done years and years and years of research on John Lennon. And
Right.
if you want to know anything about John Lennon, just pick up one of her books.
They're wonderful. It's a great line, and number 5 is coming out soon.
Wow,
Yes, it is.
that's great.
All right, Alex, it's all on you.
Okay, I ask you guys a question earlier about an instrument that Paul McCartney got from his father. All right, I'm going to ask you one about Ringo Starr. Uh, who gave Ringo his first drum kit?
Who gave it to him?
Yep, his first drum kit, and it was a family member.
I was going to guess his mom or his stepfather.
I think it was his stepfather, if I can recall. Final answer there, Alex.
Stepfather.
Yes,
That's
sir.
correct. Do you know who the stepfather was?
The guy from Australia with the kangaroos from the last one.
All right, don't start on the kangaroo stuff.
It keeps me hoppy.
That was pretty good.
His name is Harry Graves.
And say that again.
Harry Graves. Graves.
You know what, though? Ringo's childhood, like they say John had a bad childhood, but Ringo had a pretty hard childhood. He was always sick, and
Right.
his original father saw him like once, and then I think came to see him when he was about 20 years old.
Right.
So he didn't really know his dad either. So he had a rough upbringing, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
But at least he got a drum.
Yeah, well, even with the Beatles, he who was it? Jimmy Nicol had to fill in for him. I mean, he was sickly even then.
Yeah, and that was one of our questions on our last show that we got wrong about Hong Kong. It was
Right.
it was Jimmy Nichols who filled in for Ringo in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And they came from my lifeline.
There you go. There you go.
That was my wife.
She's smart.
Okay,
Yes,
another
she is.
question about Ringo. You guys, by the way, you guys are 5 for 5.
Don't jinx it.
See if you can make it 6 for 6. All right, who served as the best man at Ringo's first wedding when he first got married?
It's either George or Brian Epstein.
I think it was George myself, but
I'll go with you.
all right, George, final answer. Final answer, Alex, would be George.
George Harrison. Final answer. It
And
was
that,
their manager, Brian Epstein.
wow, we got one wrong there, Bob.
Well, I said it was one or the other, but we guessed the other. But what can you
You
do?
were close.
But you know, even in the midst of a wrong answer, what makes me happy?
What's that? That you can
You
go
know
to
who I never
Beatles?
get gossip or backstories or anything about? Why, that would be Beatles Magazine.
There you
Beatles
go.
Magazine is a publication with 370 plus million visitors in all their pages, read by thousands of fans around the world every day. Beatles news updated daily, 24 hours, audio, video, photos, interviews, contests, additional materials, and more. Follow Beatles Magazine, the most complete online coverage, 24 hours a day. And how many days a week, fellas?
8 days a week.
I love you. Excellent. We got that one right for once. Thank God. Next question.
8 days a week.
Yes,
Next
sir.
question.
Yeah,
Okay, in
yes.
the 70s. All right, in the 70s, can you hear 70s music changed somewhat and got into sort of the disco theme. And this is a Ringo question also, Ringo Starr question. Which one of Ringo's LPs, and this is I'll give you a multiple choice question here. Which one of Ringo Starr's LPs or album featured a heavy dose of disco? Was it A, Bad Boy, B, Ringo the Fourth, C, Vertical Man, or D, Roto Gravere?
I have no idea. I leave it completely to Warren.
I'm going to say Vertical Man.
Vertical Man.
Yes,
You going
sir.
with that, Bob?
I agree with Warren.
Okay, it was Ringo the Fourth.
The fourth.
B.
Oh,
Ringo the
Okay.
Fourth. B.
Okay, that was a totally unknown for me and a guess.
hey, do you know whose books I also like?
Uh-oh. Hopefully every one of the guests that we had on so far.
Oh, that goes without saying. But I also like Ken Womack's books. While looking here on Amazon.com, Ken has got Solid State, the story of Abbey Road and the end of the Beatles. That one came out on October 15th, 2019. Ken also has Long and Winding Roads, the evolving artistry of the Beatles. That one sounds like a tasty title to snack on. He
Mhm.
also, Ken Womack, has Sound Pictures, the life of producer George Martin, the later years, 1966 to 2016. And of course, if that's the later years, we have Ken Womack's Maximum Volume, the life of Beatles producer George Martin, the early years, 1926 to 1966. So Ken Womack has a variety of titles. When you went to beg a book from him, Warren, which book was it that was at his table? What was the name of that band that you guys had gone to see?
The Magical Mystery Girls.
The Magical Mystery Girls. Okay.
Yeah.
So just tell me now, as you sidle up to his table, how did you give a hint to him that you wanted a book?
He was autographing one of his books to one of his fans, and I just walked on over, and I kind of hinted that I would like to have one. That's all.
What subtle hint did you drop?
I just said just that. I said I like to have one of those, and
What was his answer to that subtle hint?
well, he kind of didn't answer me. He went about asking and talking to the person he was signing the book to. You know, eh, it
Did
was
you let him know that you were our roving reporter at the Beetle Girl show?
he knew I was recording. Yes.
So how did you bring up that this was like a live broadcast, that you were our on the spot report, on the spot reporter?
Well, as they were all arriving, and even, well, several weeks before I even found out I was going to go, I suggested to everybody that I was going to do this. And in the meantime, I told everybody online that what my intentions were. And then when I arrived at the place, I made sure I talked to one of the magical mystery girls, and I got the okay from her. And I also talked to Ken before the show, and I got the okay from him.
So, excuse me. So then, like Paul McCartney in the last quiz show that Phil asked us, give Ireland back to the Irish and hi, hi, hi. Now you have also been banned.
Yes, sir. And I'm sure Ken's going to ban me for life now.
And we can invite him onto the show, and maybe he can give you a book, and we can put this to rest for all of us. God knows it stressed me out. So
Miss,
Ken's books are again found on Amazon. We have Maximum Volume, Life of Beatles producer George Martin, the early years. And then we have Sound Pictures, Life of producer George Martin, the later years. And we have Long and Winding Roads, the evolving artistry of the Beatles. And Solid State, the story of Abbey Road and the end of the Beatles. Those are all wonderful titles by Ken Womack. And if he'll calm Warren down by finally giving him one of those books, I'd be grateful. And he's more than invited to be on our show if he wanted to come. But what about these Beatle girls? Do you think they might want to come on, Warren?
There you
um,
go.
and that would be a good question, and I would have to ask. And I'm I'm sure one of them would like to come on. They did a nice little commercial for me at the end of their show.
Was that also banned?
Yes, it was. And they thanked Beatles magazine, and they thanked Ken Womack for coming on the show. But it wasn't to be aired, so everybody missed out on that.
That just makes people want to see it more. So when we do our anthology, this is really a secret plot, so that later we'll have these archives of things no one could hear because they were banned and controversial.
Well, just to give the girls a plug, I thought they were excellent. They
You're
had
the most Freudian man I've ever met in my life, but continue.
they were excellent band. They did a great job. I enjoyed the whole show. I just come up with some bad results in the end. That's all.
Oh, well, it made for good anecdotes. And Ken Womack, if he's a sport and he'd like to come on the show, I have done an article on him for Beatles Magazine, which handled one of those wonderful George Martin books. So he's more than welcome to come on.
Well,
All things sense
And
of humor.
Bob,
Ken,
I'll also mention that I got to meet Ken once. I went
Did he
to
give
one
you
of
a
his.
book?
I had to buy it.
That's a novel concept. You just made Warren shiver.
Hey, look,
I
Ken is
went.
he's a
I
very
went.
nice guy. I gotta say that. So,
Yeah, he was. He was doing a talk on the Beatles, and he talked about his book for about an hour, and then did about 30 minute question and answer thing on the Beatles.
yes,
Yeah.
that's about what he did at the show. So, yeah, I got to say Ken's a very nice guy. He was polite to me. He just didn't want to give me one of his books, I guess. And so, uh, I love to have him on the show. He's very knowledgeable. He's a very smart guy, and he knows his Beatles.
There you go. Next question. I got an open invite.
Okay, here's one that was an early Beatle question, probably 64, 65, somewhere around in there. There were two songs that the Beatles recorded. One I know came out on a 45. The other one I know was released on an album. I don't know that it was ever on a 45. I might be wrong there. But what two songs did the Beatles record in German?
I want to hold your hand and she loves you.
Correct. I
She
can't
leaves
pronounce.
you.
I can't pronounce the German name to it,
Komm,
but
komm, gib mir deine Hand and sie liebt dich.
there you
Yes,
go.
it did.
I
Yes,
I agree.
yeah, that's correct. It was I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You. Those two were recorded in German. Good job, guys.
Good answer, Bob. Good answer.
Next question.
Okay. Here's one that let's see. I've got one that kind of goes along with your theme here, if I can find it. If you give me a second.
We have a theme. What's our theme tonight?
Tomorrow
Well,
never knows,
there you go.
and this question never knows.
Exactly.
One never knows. Do one. Let me go grab Kid O'Toole's book off my bookshelf so that we can mention Kid.
We're gonna change this to we don't know. Not
Okay, here it is.
there
Here's
you
the
go.
question. All right. Which Beatles song does not have the title in the lyrics? Which Beatles song does not have the title in the lyrics?
I know this and I can't think of it. What'd you
Most
say,
of them
Bob?
do.
Well, the instrumental Flying wouldn't have any lyrics.
No, it doesn't.
Now I'm gonna be really upset if you guys miss this one.
I know this answer. I just can't think of it.
He just can't give it to us. Gotta help us on Jeopardy. I wonder
You
if
just
Alex
said it.
Trebek
You
would
just said
accept that.
Warren just said it a minute ago.
Tomorrow
Give
never
up.
knows.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah.
Tomorrow never knows.
Ah, tomorrow never knows, and Bob and Warren don't know.
Hey, do you guys know what the title to Kit O'Toole's book is about the Beatles?
What is it?
That would be
Give.
Songs We Were Singing, Guided Tours Through the Beatles' Lesser Known Tracks by Kit O'Toole. It's a wonderful book. It goes through loads of songs like Anytime at All, 8 days a week. You guys know that one sometimes. Rain, Baby You're a Rich Man. It has all the backstories and facts. Because from Abbey Road, Polythene Pam is in there. Golden Slumbers, Free as a Bird, and it even tells you who has the biggest selling album of the decade. It's a fine little book. And Kit has been on the show many times, and she's a good sport and a nice person. But she came on with Tom Hunyadi, and you know what happened, Phil?
No.
Oh, we spent ages researching Alan Klein. You ever hear of Alan Klein, Ron DeCline from the Ruddles?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah. Yeah.
the big thief.
So anyway, we're trying to get on, and Tom's always been a good sport. When we had technical problems, he stayed on the phone with Warren for it wasn't even a show he was on. He helped for like an hour. But we're trying to get that show, and like Tom has like more accounts on Skype than like names in the phone book.
Wow.
He's got them under spellings. He's got like letters left out. It's like impossible to find Tom. So we do all this grueling research on Ron, on Klein. And Alan Klein, not Rhonda Klein, he was a fictional character based on Alan Klein. So, and well, anyway, we do this 2.5 hour show. It's a brutal subject. It's like everybody's robbing everybody. You're afraid there's going to be a murder. It's like really bad. So anyway, Tom has his account. One is look for my account with me wearing a shirt of Ringo. Then he's got another account with just like his initials and all these different things. So in any event, there's a show. We have no idea where it is. It's 2.5 hours long, and it's floating around out in Skype on one of like Tom Hunyadi's. Like I don't know if he's like a spy and he uses music as a cover, but in one of his like 15 accounts, this show is like floating out there. So when it was done, we were all like exhausted because Alan Klein was such a bastard. So like we were so worn out, and then like when it was over, we couldn't find it. So nobody like wants to take the blame for it, but nobody wants to blame anybody else. So we're like trying to skirt the issue, and we said we have to like re-record it someday. So we may or may not re-record it, but they're welcome to. I mean, we certainly want them to. They're great guests. But somewhere out there in the netherworld, on our anthology show will be a show about Alan Klein, which we have no idea where it is. And it's got the brilliant music, Kid O'Toole, Tom Hunyadi, myself, and Warren Brown. I don't know how brilliant our insights were, but they were brilliant. But that show's like floating around in the iCloud somewhere. If anybody has a hint on how to find it, you let us know. We have 30 days before it completely evaporates to history.
Well, first of all, I like to say hello to Kit.
He wants to distance himself from my comments now. Give him a second.
No, I don't. I'm going to get into it. So, I want to say hello to Kit, and her books are off the charts, and I love her Michael Jackson book also. But anyway, as for the show, like Bulldog said, Kit and Tom did a lot of studying and a lot of work to put that show together. And like Bob said, we recorded it for like 2.5 hours, and it was a very interesting, very informative show. And I learned a lot about the thief that we were talking about. But yeah, I did everything under the sun to try to retrieve that recording. I went to Skype.
And while he was looking, he found Amelia Earhart, but he still hasn't found the show.
And yeah, we were telling Tom because he was still logged on that I can't get the show unless he logs off. And on that recording, his name was spelt wrong. It was spelt THOMASK. SS. So he kind of told me that he didn't know what account I was talking about. Well, about a week later, I went back to see if I could find it, and I noticed that his spelling on his name was changed to the correct spelling. So I'm like, well, if he don't know that account, how did it get changed to the correct spelling? you know, so to make a long story short,
Make it even longer. Make a long story even longer.
me, Kit, and Tom got on, and all three of us did the best we could, and we still weren't able to find it. So, um,
Maybe
I
Alan Klein's people came
right,
in and blocked it somewhere.
yeah, yeah, that's probably what happened.
And you know, Kiddo too has another book for Michael Jackson fans, Michael Jackson FAQ or Michael Jackson FAQ, All That's Left to Know About the King of Pop. So Kit has another great book. So you got to look for those two books at your local book dealer or Amazon.com. Do we have another question?
Okay, another question.
Do you know, I think Kid O'Toole is also. You've seen the James Bond movies with all the Bond girls? I think Kid
Oh
O'Toole
yeah.
is like the most James Bond girl name I have ever heard. That's one cool name.
she's the
Dr. Kit
she,
O'Toole. Sounds like a
she's the
nemesis of James Bond.
she's the queen of all things Beatles.
I
There
concur.
you go. All right, another question here, guys. All right, two of the Beatles. I know you know they started Apple Records. All right, which two Beatles released recordings on another label that was like Apple called Zapple? Zapple. Which two Beatles?
John and George.
I know John was one, and I believe George was the other. I'll go with Bob on that. Final answer.
All right, final answer. That is correct. John and
Ding,
George.
all right.
Ding, 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 ding.
So,
Good answer.
what's our score, Phil?
Uh, I believe you have missed what? Two.
Wow, that's pretty bad for. That's
Well,
pretty
well,
bad.
maybe it could be one. It could be two.
I,
I think we just missed George's being the best man at the wedding when it was
I,
Brian
I think
Epstein.
that I think that's correct, Bob. I think you're right.
So where are you getting this two from? What are you trying to do to me here?
I don't know.
we're supposed to all be so-called Beatle experts.
I never call myself an expert. There's no way to go it down. Hey, you know, we had another guest on. It was a family from like what country was it? The musical family, one after 909.
um, I don't know. It was a country that's connected to the UK, but
We're geography experts too.
yeah. Who I forget. Um, Corey's a sweet girl though. She's an artist. Um,
They did great, and unlike American families, they seemed happy and liked one another.
yes, they did. They were very close knit family, and I enjoyed seeing that.
And they had reconstructions of the Sergeant Pepper costumes.
Yes,
Oh
they
wow.
did.
That was a fun show.
Yes, and they're very good, very talented tribute band. They're called One After 909. And Corey and Robbie, I thank you for coming on the show, and you guys did great. And his friend was Dietrich, I believe
Yeah,
his name was.
Rebel.
Yeah, Dietrich Rebel, very good guitar player. He was on the show with them, and also Corey's daughter, or it was Robbie's daughter, and I forget her name. Do you remember that, Bob?
We're gonna have to save that for the quiz show. That's one of Phil's questions. We can't answer it ahead of time.
All right. But there's a plug for One After 909. Great tribute band. They do a great job. And when they hit the United States, I was promised a backstage pass, and I can't wait.
Ken Womack
A
has
good
one
song,
too.
good song too.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Trevek, you got another one for us?
All right, here you go, guys. This is dealing with the Beatle movie, A Hard Day's Night. How many times is the name Beatles mentioned in A Hard Day's Night?
In the film script?
In the film itself, in the movie, how many times?
I have no idea whatsoever. I don't even speculate.
1, 2. I'm going to say at least 5, and that's a guess.
Okay, final answer? Final answer?
I'm going to guess none.
None?
None.
All right, we'll go with Bob.
Well, the correct answer, Mr. Wilson, is right. 0.
Okay. That shows you how many times I watched the movie.
Kind of a trick.
I smelled the trick question.
Yes, it was. Oh, boy. Wow.
All right, another question from the movie, from A Hard Day's Night. All right, in A Hard Day's Night, Ringo Starr was asked by a reporter if he was a mod or a rocker.
A mocker.
What, yeah.
That was his answer. Yeah. Yes, his answer was mocker.
He said, I'm a mocker.
Yes, sir.
Good answer.
Good answer, Bob.
All right.
Well, Bob's up on his movie.
Yeah. As you can see, I'm not, even though I saw it 1,001 times.
And our friend Brooke Halpin is also on Amazon.com with Experiencing the Beatles, a listener's companion, and his quiz show book, Do You Really Know the Beatles? By Brooke Halpin. Those are 2 tomes, and they come in ebook too, and you'll just love them. So, throw your line in the water, hook one of them, and reel them right in, because they're wonderful keepsakes, wonderful for gift giving, and wonderful for those home Beatle quiz shows we all do and love.
And what was his new movie called again, Bob?
Do you have to ask me off the cuff?
Come on now.
His new movie is based on his book, A Magical Mystery Time. And it's in pre-production, I believe, and they want to get that going. And he's working on it now. We'll have to have him back on to talk about that again, if he's willing.
Yes. And I was actually referring to your little help reference.
His earlier movie, Help.
Yeah, there you go.
At the beach in the water on the rocks playing another girl. Then he runs around through the Himalayas on skis. Then he goes to dinner with famous maestros, and he has mysterious stories with young ladies from his past in Connecticut, I believe, at music symposiums. A fascinating chap.
And what was that called again?
That was called Help! Exclamation point.
Help.
That's pretty good.
As opposed to his other movies, A Hard Day's Help and Let It Help.
I love it. Oh, all right, Alex, I'll take the Beatles for 2,000, please.
Okay, Warren, this is a Beatle-related question. See how good you are. See how good you guys are on your music trivia from some English bands. I want to know the name of the song by The Who, the band The Who.
The Seeker. I asked Bobby Dylan, I asked the Beatles. I asked Timothy Leary, but he couldn't help me either.
Yeah, that's correct. Good job, Bob the Speaker.
Hey, Phil, I want you to know that I got Bob a crystal ball for Christmas, and it must be working.
He got me a bowling ball and it has no holes in it.
I don't even have to read the entire question. My goodness.
Yeah, that
All
was
right,
pretty. That was pretty good, Bob.
Thank you.
all right. Since you answered that one so quickly, um, what Beatles song includes? This is pretty easy too. But which Beatles song includes French lyrics?
Michelle.
Michel, ma belle, sont des mots qui bientôt sont très bien.
Okay. All right. Good job. One.
Thanks. I'm not going to put that on a record.
Oh, yeah, you should.
Good job. Good job.
All right. I think I got about 3 more questions, guys.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to go ahead? You ready?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. What was the last song that John Lennon played for a paying audience?
Wait a minute. I got to go to Beatles magazine.
That was at the Elton John concert. And he played I Saw Her Standing There and Whatever Gets You Through the Night, and Lucy, and then Elton sang Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So which one was last, Warren?
I don't know, Bob. I'll go with what you say.
It's either going to be I Saw Her Standing There, because he didn't sing Lucy at the show. So it was either I Saw Her Standing There, Whatever Gets You Through the Night.
I'm going to go with
Yeah,
I saw her standing there.
Final answer?
Yeah, as long as Bob agrees with that.
Well, the way he said final answer, it sounds like he was moving us towards whatever gets you through the night. I think it's probably that.
Okay.
Well, pick one.
Whatever gets you through the night.
Final answer.
Sorry, guys. It was I Saw Her Standing There.
Then why did you trick us?
Hey, Bob, wasn't that a trivia question that I asked you on one of our shows?
Not to my recollection or the best of my knowledge. Maybe.
It
but
was.
You tricked us. Why did you go final answer like that? That was sneaky.
I don't know.
Are you trying to throw us off, Bob?
He's a sneaky fellow.
That's good talk show host. He's supposed to.
Bill, tell us about your book. Does it have a title tonight?
It does. Since you corrected me last time, I remembered it's called This is to be Played Loud, Music Memories of the 60s and 70s, Beatles, Monkees, Elvis, and more.
All right. And where can fans go to find that wonderful book? I have a copy and I love it.
Well, you can just, like I said, I don't have it in any stores right now. You can just contact me, Phil Weathers. You can contact me on Facebook through Messenger, friend me, whatever. And I'll be glad to get you a copy of the book.
That sounds like a plan.
And I have a copy of the book, and it was signed by the author, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I appreciate Bob. I know when it originally came out a few years ago, Bob actually wrote a review for me on the book. So
wow.
It was easy because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I always remember that, Bob.
That's
all right,
I loved it, and I enjoy it today too.
Thank you. 2 more questions. Another fairly easy question you guys probably get pretty quick. Which one of the Beatles, John, Paul, George, or Ringo, was the first to cross Abbey Road?
Which
John.
one? John in a white suit.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer. Don't mess with us again.
That's it. You are correct. It was John Lennon.
Okay. Hey, Phil, who was the last to cross Abbey Road, and what was he wearing?
Was it Ringo,
George.
It was
George?
George. It was George.
Okay.
And he was wearing what?
He was
Jeans
wearing
and a
blue
work
jeans.
shirt.
He was
Like
wearing,
a grave digger.
yes, he was wearing jeans because he was digging graves.
Right. I do remember that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He was trying to dig Yoko's grave, but Yoko
And
didn't
would you
want
get this? The guy who's usually defending her so vehemently comes out and, holy moly, that was Nelly.
I got your tongue tied there, Bulldog.
You got me with that one. You got me with that one.
That
Okay, well,
that was for all the
question.
that was for all the Yoko haters.
One more question from me, unless you guys have some.
Uh-oh.
And I can't remember. This may be one that Bob asked one time. I can't remember. It seems like he may have. All right. How long is the book in paperback writer?
It's 1,000 pages.
Give or
Take a few.
what? There you go.
It's 1,000 pages. Could you take a few? I'll be writing more in a week or two.
There
That's
you
it.
go. You're absolutely correct. You got the last question from me correct. Good job, guys.
Yeah, good job.
You're an excellent host. My question would be,
You got 19 out of 20.
Good
no,
job.
we got 2 wrong because you tricked us on one.
Oh, well, that's true. I did, didn't I?
Yes,
My
you
bad.
did.
My bad.
I got a few if you guys want to keep on going here.
Well, I got one for you guys first. In A Hard Day's Night, what was the name of George Harrison's hairdo?
Hairdo.
Haircut.
Jeez.
Oh, I can't remember, Phil. Can you?
That one I don't know.
Arthur.
Stump me. Arthur. Arthur.
Like with dings.
That's because he said it twice.
There you go.
Well, that
Good,
was a hard.
good answer, Phil. I mean, Bulldog.
Yeah, hard
All right. What Beatles song was written for Mia Farrow's sister?
Dear
Prudence.
Prudence.
Dear Prudence.
Dear
Dear
Prudence.
Prudence.
You
One
got
of my
it, Phil.
favorites.
All right. You want me to keep on going or no?
Sure.
Who was the first person to get married? First Beatle to get married?
John.
Yeah, John. I'll go with that.
And that'd be correct. All right. Who was the original drummer for the Beatles?
Pete
Is there
Best.
a trick to this?
It might be. You were correct, Phil.
Pete Best.
Yes, sir. All right, Bob, you got any more funny moments to put in?
Funny moments. Let's see this. Well, the only knock I have on Phil is his South Carolina Wi-Fi can sometimes knock us out, but he's such a good guy that doesn't bother us. 6-string Andrew comes on, and he's 13, and he's a great guitar player, so we can't say anything bad about him and his mom and his family. They're wonderful people.
Yes,
So we
they
like them. Let's hear it for Phil and 6-string Andrew. Yay! And we can't make fun of Patricia Gallo Stenman anymore because you brought up the I slept with Paul button on 2 shows, and I don't want to push her completely over the edge.
That's got to be the top one, I think.
So, like Nat King Cole would say, that's unforgettable.
Yes, it was. I think I embarrassed her there for a minute. But she
she's
knew
a good egg and a good guest.
she was a good person about the whole situation, and we all have fun with that. That was good.
But you know what we have as a tradition at the end of each show? Would you guys like to sing the end? We could each take a verse.
Okay,
Sure.
I'll take the beginning.
No, you always take the end. No.
All right.
So I'll open it up, Phil. You do the middle, and Warren will do the end. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. A 1 and a 2. And in the end,
The love you make.
no, we got to start over. It's and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. So I'll sing and in the end. Phil, you say the love you take, and Warren will say is equal to the love you make. How's that?
Sorry.
Okay.
Sounds
Magic of editing. 1, 2, 3. And in the end,
The love you take.
is equal to the love we made. And Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Go ahead, Bob.
Now I can't remember the words. You surprised me. Start over.
All right. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Take it, Bob.
Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she changes from day to day.
All right, Phil.
8 days a week.
All
Let's leave it at that.
right, sounds good.
You
Good
guys are
job,
great.
guys. Good job. You made it funny. That's what matters.
Good show.
Good show. Good deal. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate you coming on. I enjoy talking to you.
A great new year.
Yeah,
You too.
happy New Year to you and your family, Phil, and I hope it's the best one you ever have.
You too.
You too. God bless.
I thank
Yeah.
you.